Have you ever wondered if watching movies could actually change your life? Today's story will show you how one girl learned English from movies and completely transformed her personality. And at the end of the video, I will share useful vocabulary with simple meanings to help you learn new words from the story. So stay with me till the end. You don't want to miss it. Now let's begin. When Anaya was 14, she often sat in her small bedroom with a worn-out notebook and an old smartphone that barely worked. She lived in a busy town where life moved fast, but for her, things felt painfully slow. Her classmates laughed, cracked jokes in English, and posted videos on social media with confidence, while she struggled even to say a few sentences without stumbling. English was not her first language, and every time she opened her mouth in class, the words came out broken, heavy, and filled with mistakes. Her classmates would sometimes smile politely, but she could see the hidden laughter in their eyes. That silent judgment pierced her heart more deeply than loud teasing ever could. She wasn't bad at studying. In fact, she was one of the brightest in her class when it came to science and math. But English felt like a wall too tall for her to climb. She loved stories. She loved music. She loved movies. But whenever she tried to understand English songs or films, she felt lost. Words would fly past her ears like birds too fast to catch. She would grab a word here and there, love, friend, happy, but the rest was a blur. And every time she thought about how confidently others spoke, she whispered to herself in frustration, "Why can't I do this? Why can't I be like them?" One day, after a particularly hard class where she mispronounced a word and the entire room erupted in laughter, she ran home with tears stinging her eyes. She closed the door to her room and decided she had had enough. She wasn't going to remain silent anymore. She wasn't going to be invisible. That night, scrolling through her phone, she stumbled upon a popular English movie that everyone at school had been talking about. She hesitated for a moment, then pressed play. At first, the voices felt too fast, almost impossible to follow. But then she discovered the magical little button subtitles. She replayed the same scene again and again, watching the characters talk, pausing at every sentence, writing down words in her notebook. The actors' expressions, their tone, the rhythm of their voices, it was like a whole new world opening up for her. She didn't understand everything, but for the first time, she wasn't scared of English. She was curious, and that curiosity lit a fire inside her. From that night onward, watching movies became her daily ritual. While other kids wasted hours scrolling through meaningless posts, she sat with her notebook and her phone, repeating lines, mimicking accents, whispering dialogues to herself until her throat ached. When the heroine in the film said, "I believe in myself," Anaya stood in front of her mirror, repeating it with every ounce of energy she had. At first, it felt silly, but slowly, something changed. She wasn't just learning words. She was absorbing the confidence, the emotion, the attitude behind those words. Her parents noticed the glow in her eyes whenever she was immersed in a movie. "Why are you watching the same scene again and again?" Her mother asked one evening. Anaya just smiled and replied, "Because I want to sound like her." They didn't fully understand what she was doing, but they saw her determination and chose not to interfere. Weeks turned into months. The notebook filled with scribbles of phrases, expressions, and meanings. She would pause during dinner and suddenly blurt out a new word she had learned, making her younger brother laugh. She wasn't just learning English, she was weaving it into her personality. When a character in a movie spoke boldly, she tried to speak boldly too. When a character laughed freely, she practiced laughing without fear. Her teachers began to notice subtle changes. In class, she no longer kept her head down. She raised her hand, hesitant at first, but slowly growing more confident. Her sentences were still broken, but there was a new spark in the way she delivered them. Some students mocked her less now, sensing her growing courage. Others grew curious, asking her how she was improving so fast. She simply smiled and said, "Movies are my teacher." But the real transformation came when she was invited to participate in a school debate competition. At first, she wanted to refuse. The thought of speaking in front of an audience terrified her. She imagined herself forgetting words, freezing up, or being laughed at again. But that night, she opened her favorite movie and watched the hero deliver a powerful speech. The character spoke with passion, eyes burning with determination, words flowing like fire. Anaya replayed that speech 20 times. She wrote it down, memorized it, practiced it until her reflection in the mirror almost believed she was on a stage, too. When the day of the debate arrived, she walked onto the stage with shaking hands. The microphone felt heavy. The audience seemed enormous. For a second, she almost gave up. But then she remembered the voices she had listened to, the characters who never gave up, the lines she had repeated 100 times, and she began to speak. Her voice wavered in the beginning, but then it steadied. Her accent wasn't perfect, but her energy was undeniable. Every sentence carried emotion. She gestured with her hands, just like the actors she had studied. The audience leaned in, surprised. Teachers nodded. By the time she finished, there was silence followed by applause. It wasn't the loudest applause in history, but for Anaya, it was enough to change her life. From that day, she wasn't the same girl anymore. She didn't just speak English, she lived it. She continued her movie marathons, not out of fear of being left behind, but out of pure love. Her room became her stage, her notebook became her script, and the mirror became her best friend. Slowly, her shyness faded. She began making friends more easily, cracking jokes, and sharing stories in English. Her classmates who once mocked her now asked her for help. She had gone from being invisible to unforgettable. As the years passed, she not only mastered English, but also transformed her personality. She became outgoing, confident, and fearless. She started her own small YouTube channel, where she shared tips on learning English through movies, telling her own story of struggle and growth. At first, only a handful of people watched, but her honesty and energy attracted more viewers. People from different countries commented, "You inspire me. I feel the same. Thank you for giving me hope." Each comment fueled her even more. Soon, Anaya realized something profound. Learning English wasn't just about grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. It was about finding her voice, her identity, her power. Every movie she watched had not only taught her language, but also taught her how to feel, how to express, how to connect. She had stepped into 1,000 different lives through films, and in the process, she had built her own. Her parents, once unsure about her obsession, now looked at her with pride. Her teachers spoke of her transformation as an example. Her friends admired her courage. And Anaya herself looked in the mirror and whispered, "I did it. I'm not the same girl anymore." But she knew her journey was far from over. She kept watching, learning, growing. She dreamed bigger dreams of traveling, of meeting people from different cultures, of sharing her story with the world. And deep down, she knew she could achieve it, because she had already crossed the hardest bridge, the bridge of believing in herself. Years later, when she stood on a stage in another country, speaking fluent English to an international audience, she thought back to that small room, that old smartphone, that first movie with subtitles. She thought about the shy girl who once couldn't finish a sentence without blushing. And as the crowd applauded her speech, she smiled and whispered inside, "Movies changed my English, but English changed my life." The story of Anaya spread beyond her own circle. She became a symbol of transformation, proof that determination and creativity could change anyone's destiny. She wasn't born confident. She wasn't born fluent, but she built herself piece by piece, line by line, scene by scene. She wasn't born confident. She wasn't born fluent, but she built herself piece by piece, line by line, scene by scene. Vocabulary: stumble to make a mistake while speaking or walking. Judgment: the opinion people have about you. Sometimes critical, pierced, caused sharp emotional pain, like a needle going in. Curious, wanting to know or learn something. Absorbing, taking in fully, like a sponge takes water. Mimicking, copying how someone speaks or acts, expressions, the way faces, voices, or words show feelings. Hesitant, not sure, pausing before deciding. Spark a small sign of energy or inspiration. Transformation: a big change in someone's life or character. Terrified, very scared. Determination: strong will to keep going even when it's hard. Wavered, became weak or unsteady for a short time. Gestured moved hands or body to show meaning while speaking. Applause, clapping hands to show. Appreciation, shyness, feeling nervous or uncomfortable with people. Unforgettable, something or someone you can never forget. Fearless, not afraid of. Anything profound, very deep or important. Identity, who you are, your true self. Admired, respected, and looked up to. Fluent, able to speak a language easily and soothingly. Destiny, the future that is meant to happen. Extraordinary, very special, not ordinary. Obsession, something you think about all the time. Scribble to write quickly and carelessly, often messy. Confidence, belief in yourself. Invisible, cannot be seen. Here it means unnoticed by people. Subtitles, words shown at the bottom of a movie to help understand. Whispered, spoke very softly. And that was the story of a shy girl who turned her weakness into her strength simply by learning English from movies. Her journey shows us that with determination, anything is possible. I hope you enjoyed the story and also learned the new vocabulary we shared. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.